All right, so are you ready to dive into the world of spies?
Always ready for that.
We're talking from ancient kings to those Cold War standoffs.
Right.
A real deep dive into the history of espionage.
Yeah.
We've got intel from, ancient scrolls to secret files,
Wow.
trying to uncover how spying evolved and all the roles these shadow figures have played throughout history.
Well, what I think is really fascinating is
Yeah.
how, with all of the technological advances that we've had,
Mm,
the core goals of espionage
Yeah.
have stayed surprisingly consistent.
that's interesting.
So we're going to uncover some of those patterns,
Yeah.
and we'll see how understanding the past can illuminate the world of spies today.
So we're going all the way back to the beginning.
Even before that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, thinking ancient Egypt, biblical stories,
Yeah.
even the Iliad, espionage pops up everywhere.
Wow.
Early spies were masters of blending and
Wow.
posing as merchants or just another face in the crowd.
So I guess back then it was all about getting close and personal.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
no fancy tech to rely on.
No, they didn't have the luxury of all that.
Right.
Imagine being a spy in ancient China,
Okay.
using tactics straight out of Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Oh, wow.
His advice on the types of spies that are out there is
Mhm.
still relevant today.
That's amazing.
You've got your insider leaking secrets.
Right.
You've got your moly influencing leaders.
Wow.
And you've even got agents spreading misinformation.
It's incredible that those basic principles of espionage have been around forever.
Yeah.
So how did things evolve from those early days?
Well, as empires rose and fell,
Mm.
espionage took on many forms.
Oh, okay.
So we see cloak and dagger missions in medieval Europe,
Okay.
the legendary ninjas of Japan,
Oh, yeah.
each era adding its own flavor to the world of spies.
Well, ninjas
Yeah.
that has got to be one of the coolest chapters
Oh, absolutely.
in the history of espionage.
Definitely.
So this is also when things started to get more organized,
Oh.
right? With governments and nation states and modern diplomacy,
Mm.
I guess governments started to see the value in having a dedicated intelligence service
They did.
instead of relying on,
Yeah.
individual adventurers.
Right. Well,
They started creating actual spy agencies.
that's right.
Okay.
Sir Francis Walsingham, Queen Elizabeth I's spy master.
Yep.
He is a prime example of that.
Okay.
He's considered a pioneer in intelligence work,
Wow.
forwarding plots and even uncovering the gunpowder plot.
The gunpowder plot, that was a close one.
Yeah, it really was a plot to blow up the English Parliament in 1605.
Wow.
It was a major turning point,
Likes it.
showcasing the impact that a well-organized intelligence service could have.
So Walsingham essentially prevented a national crisis.
That's one way to put it.
I guess that's why he's called a pioneer.
Right.
Okay, so we've got spies blending in,
Mhm.
governments building these agencies, and
Yeah.
plots being foiled.
Yeah.
What happens as we move into the 19th and 20th centuries?
Well, things get even more intense.
Okay.
It's a period marked by imperial rivalries
Okay.
and suspicion across Europe,
Right.
and that led to a more professionalized
Yeah.
approach to espionage.
Okay.
So imagine adventurers,
Okay.
military attachés,
Right.
even the founder of the Boy Scouts.
Wait, the founder of the Boy Scouts.
Yeah,
I would not have expected that.
it just shows how diverse the world of espionage was.
Wow.
This was also a time of spy phobia,
Okay.
with widespread fear of infiltration and all of that.
Right.
Think of the Great Game, the rivalry between Britain and Russia for
Mhm.
control of Central Asia.
Ah, the Great Game. It
Yeah.
sounds like something out of a spy novel.
Practically was daring missions, disguises,
Right.
intercepting vital information,
Yeah.
all part of gaining an advantage.
And those advantages could make all the difference,
Oh, for sure.
especially as tensions were rising across the world
Mhm.
leading up to World War I.
Right.
And that's when espionage really takes center stage.
Absolutely.
So it's code breaking and all that.
Yeah, World War I saw espionage reach new levels of sophistication.
Wow.
Code breaking played a pivotal role in the outcome of battles,
Right.
with agencies like Britain's Room 40
Room for
tracking German naval codes, giving the Allies a critical edge at sea.
Okay. And then, of course, there's the legendary Mata Hari.
Oh, yes. What a hurry.
Her story, although maybe a bit exaggerated,
Right.
really captures that allure and danger
Yeah.
of spying during wartime.
It's a reminder that the reality of espionage during World War I was full of twists and turns,
Yeah.
with the fate of nations hanging in the balance.
Speaking of twists and turns, wasn't there a famous incident with a telegram?
You're thinking of the Zimmermann telegram?
Yeah.
A German proposal
Yeah.
from Mexico to attack the U.S.,
Right?
intercepted and decoded by the British.
Oh, wow.
This secret message was instrumental in bringing America into the war.
I remember learning about that in school.
Oh,
A single message changing the course of history.
it can happen.
It really highlights the impact that intelligence gathering can have.
Yeah, for sure.
So after World War I, things calmed down a bit.
Not quite. In fact, the world was about to enter a period of even greater upheaval
Yeah.
with the rise of totalitarian regimes
Right.
like the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany.
And those ideologies bring their own complexities to the world of espionage.
Yeah, absolutely they do.
So the world becoming increasingly polarized,
Right.
I guess the stakes were higher than ever.
They were.
And this
Yeah.
is where we see the development of those massive intelligence agencies.
Exactly.
The CIA,
Mhm.
KGB,
Right.
MI6.
All vying for information and influence.
It sounds like the spy game was becoming more organized and more intense.
It was.
And with nuclear weapons on the scene,
Hmm.
the consequences of espionage become even more serious.
Oh, absolutely.
The Cold War was defined by suspicion, paranoia,
Right.
and a constant search for an edge. The fear of infiltration
Yeah.
and the hunt for moles
Yeah.
within these organizations
Mhm.
became central themes.
Yeah. A prime example is the case of Kim Philby,
Right.
a high-ranking British intelligence officer
Wow.
who was secretly a Soviet double agent.
That's a pretty stunning betrayal.
It is.
It makes you wonder who you can really trust in that world.
You never know.
Okay, so before we get into the modern era,
Okay.
let's touch on the technology
Sure.
of Cold War espionage.
Okay.
Spy planes,
Yeah.
satellites. It
Yeah.
was a whole new level of tech, right?
Absolutely. It was a period of incredible innovation,
Wow.
with both sides striving to outdo each other
Right.
in intelligence gathering.
Mm.
But with these advancements came new risks and new ethical dilemmas.
Like the U-2 incident in 1960,
Yeah.
when a U.S. spy plane was shot down over the Soviet Union.
Exactly.
That triggered a major international crisis,
It did.
highlighting the potential consequences
Yeah.
of pushing espionage too far.
It's a reminder that in the world of espionage, actions have consequences.
Right.
And the stakes can be incredibly high.
Yeah, I imagine those stakes only got higher
There you go.
as the world moved into the modern era
Mhm.
with new threats like terrorism and cyber warfare emerging.
Right. You're absolutely right. The landscape shifted dramatically as the Cold War ended. We saw new threats emerge: terrorism, cyber warfare, economic espionage. It's not just nation versus nation anymore.
So the playing field got a lot more complicated.
Exactly. Think about the rise of groups like Al-Qaeda operating across borders, incredibly difficult to track using traditional methods. And then you've got cyber warfare hacking into government systems, stealing secrets, disrupting infrastructure.
It's like espionage went digital and things moved at warp speed. Did this shift change how intelligence agencies operate?
Definitely, they've had to adapt rapidly to these new challenges. The focus has shifted in many ways from countering traditional state actors to understanding and combating these more decentralized, often shadowy networks.
So the need for intelligence gathering has only become more important, but also much more complex. And I imagine there are new ethical questions that come up with these new forms of espionage.
You're spot on. Cyber warfare in particular raises a lot of questions about privacy and the acceptable limits of surveillance. How do we balance security needs with individual liberties in a world where threats can come from anywhere?
It's a tough question, one that societies around the world are grappling with. It seems like the history of espionage is full of these ethical dilemmas evolving alongside the technology and the threats themselves.
It really is. And understanding that history can help us navigate these complex questions in the present. For example, the debate around government surveillance programs in the digital age has echoes of earlier concerns about privacy and the potential for abuse of power.
It's a reminder that even as technology changes, some of the fundamental concerns about espionage remain the same. So after this deep dive into the world of spies from ancient times to the digital age, what are some of the key things that stand out to you?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's clear that espionage has always been about gaining an advantage, whether in warfare, diplomacy, or even commerce. It's all about information, who has it, who controls it, and how they use it.
Knowledge is power, as they say. And it seems like intelligence agencies have always been on the front lines of that battle for information.
Precisely. And the methods they use have evolved dramatically over time, from human intelligence gathering to sophisticated technological tools. But the underlying goals remain the same: to understand the intentions and capabilities of others, to anticipate threats, and to protect national interests.
It's also fascinating how the very nature of the threats has changed, especially in the modern era. We've gone from traditional state actors to these more fluid transnational networks.
Absolutely, and that shift has forced intelligence agencies to adapt their strategies and tactics they've had to become more agile, more innovative, and more adept at working across borders and with different partners.
So the world of espionage has become more complex and interconnected than ever before.
Right.
And the ethical dilemmas surrounding it have only become more challenging.
You're right. We're living in an era of unprecedented information access, but also unprecedented surveillance capabilities. Finding the right balance between security and privacy, between transparency and secrecy, is a constant struggle.
So after exploring all these different eras of espionage, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to take away from this conversation?
I think the most important takeaway is that espionage is a constant in human history. As long as there are secrets to protect and advantages to be gained, there will be individuals and organizations willing to risk everything to obtain them. It's a reflection of our own human nature, our curiosity, our desire for power, and our capacity for both ingenuity and deception.
It's a reminder that the world is often more complex than it appears on the surface, with hidden agendas and secret machinations playing out behind the scenes.
Exactly. And while we may never fully understand the intricate workings of the world of espionage, I think it's crucial to be aware of its existence, to think critically about the information we consume, and to be mindful of the potential consequences of secrecy and deception.
Okay, before we wrap things up, I have to ask, what about the future of espionage? What can we expect to see in this ever-evolving landscape?
That's a great question. And while it's impossible to predict the future with certainty, I think it's safe to say that technology will continue to be a major driving force. We're already seeing the emergence of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and other cutting-edge technologies that have the potential to revolutionize the way intelligence is gathered and analyzed.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of espionage, one that's even more technologically sophisticated and potentially even more ethically challenging.
I think that's a fair assessment, and it's important that we as a society engage in thoughtful discussions about the implications of these advancements. We need to consider the potential risks and benefits to set clear ethical boundaries and to ensure that these powerful tools are used responsibly and in a way that protects our fundamental freedoms.
So after this deep dive into the shadowy world of spies from ancient times to the digital age, what's the final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I think it's this. The world of espionage is a fascinating and often unsettling reflection of our own human nature. It reveals our capacity for both great ingenuity and great deception, our desire for knowledge and our willingness to manipulate. It's a reminder that the line between good and evil, truth and falsehood, is often more blurry than we'd like to believe. And in a world where information is power, it's up to each of us to be discerning consumers of that information, to question assumptions, and to think critically about the hidden forces that shape our world.
So the next time you see a spy thriller or read a headline about a cyber attack, remember, the history of espionage is still being written, and we all have a role to play in shaping its future.
Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, never stop asking questions, because in the world of espionage, the truth is often stranger than fiction.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating world, and one that most of us only get glimpses of. You know what strikes me is that tension between secrecy and transparency,
Right.
the need to protect information, but also the importance of accountability.
Absolutely. It's a delicate balance.
Right.
And one that's only becoming harder to maintain in our interconnected world. We're seeing more and more calls for transparency in government operations, especially when it comes to intelligence gathering and surveillance.
And at the same time, you know,
Yeah.
there are real national security concerns.
Right.
And the need to keep some information classified.
Absolutely.
It's a tough dilemma.
It is.
I don't envy the people who have to make those decisions.
Yeah. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Right.
And as technology continues to advance, the lines between what's private and what's public are becoming increasingly blurred.
That's a great point. You know, we're generating so much data every day through all of our online activities.
Right.
And that data can be a valuable source of intelligence.
Right.
But it also raises serious questions about privacy and surveillance.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And it requires careful consideration of the trade-offs involved.
So after this deep dive into the world of espionage, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away?
Well, I hope they come away with a deeper understanding of the complex history of espionage and the impact it's had on our world.
Right.
It's a subject that's often shrouded in secrecy,
Yeah.
but it's one that has shaped the course of history in really profound ways.
It's also a reminder that the world is often more complex
Yes.
than it appears on the surface.
Right.
There are always forces at work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's important to be aware of those forces and to think critically
Absolutely.
about the information we're presented with.
I think it's also important to remember that espionage is
Yeah.
ultimately a human endeavor.
Right.
It's driven by human motivations, human choices,
Yeah.
and human fallibility.
So as we continue to grapple with the challenges of espionage
Right.
in the 21st century,
Yeah.
we need to remember that it's not just about technology or tactics.
That's right.
It's about understanding human nature and finding ways to promote transparency,
Right.
accountability, and ethical conduct
Yeah,
in this often shadowy world.
absolutely. And it's a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
The future of espionage and really the future of our world
Right.
depends on it.
Well, thank you for taking us on this incredible journey
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
through the history of espionage. It's
Yeah.
been an eye-opening experience.
I hope it's inspired our listeners to continue exploring this
Yeah.
fascinating and ever-evolving subject.
Absolutely, to our listeners out there,
Yeah.
stay curious, stay informed, and as always, keep asking those questions.